What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Y'all like that new intro, right? That joint smooth, smooth. Shout out to my producer, Michael Sanabria, for creating that. But today, we're going to talk about how to crush your cloud certification exam. All right. So, short topic today. Your boy's a little tired, been moving, we transitioning into a new home, so, give it up. Your boy done stepped up and he leveled up a little bit. But, we're going to talk about how you can level up right now with the cloud certification exam. And I know all of you right now are trying to figure out what next exam to take or even taking your first exam. And it's pretty nerve wracking, right? You got a lot of anxiety. You don't really know how to tackle these things. So we're going to spend this time talking about what you can do to crush your next cloud certification. All right. So take notes, watch the recording of this if you can't make the whole thing, but make sure you pay attention to this because I'm going to drop some jewels on your head. And I appreciate everybody that's in the comments already. But let's get started. All right. So when you're trying to take an exam, first of all, we need to research the right exam and understand the objectives, right? Because what happens is a lot of y'all go to these cloud service providers and they have a certification path. And a lot of you think that's the path that you need to take. Like AWS just released a path that can really streamline you to become certain entities in that role, right? DevOps engineer, solutions architect, etc. Right? But in all reality, right, they want you to use the products just like every other cloud service provider. They want you to be immersed into the AWS culture, and they want you to drink the Kool-Aid. And there's nothing wrong with drinking the Kool-Aid. It's just that's the product that you're trying to move everyone to because they want to be king in cloud service providing as far as organizations and as far as people using them. But you need to understand that all you really need is just one core certification starting off when you're looking for certain roles, right? So let's say if you want to be a cloud engineer, right? Or if you want to go into tech sales, right? You don't really want to get into the engineering part. The exam that you really can use with AWS is the Certified Cloud Practitioner. Right? The exam that you can use with Azure is the AZ 900. The exam that you can use with GCP is the Cloud Digital Cloud Leader. I'm sorry, Cloud Digital Leader, excuse me. So these exams help you understand how to translate keywords and problem solving. So, for instance, if a person says, "Oh, we're looking for microservices," we're looking at the couple architecture, then you automatically know what service that is when it's offered in. If you're AWS, if you're Azure, if you're GCP. So, researching the right exam for starters, right? You can still follow the path that the CSP has given you to level up in other roles, right? But when you're starting off, understanding the right exam, you don't always need to start off with the solutions architect. Sometimes you might just need to go to the developer if you want to understand how to develop, right? Now, understanding the objectives as well for the exam. So when you go to, let's say, AWS CCP, right, the course objectives is really, describing the basic global infrastructure of the AWS cloud, explain the 6 benefits of AWS cloud, describe the AWS well-architected framework, explain the shared responsibility model, describe the core security services within the AWS cloud, describe the basics of AWS cloud migration. So with CCP, Certified Cloud Practitioner, these are just simple things that you can learn to be able to pass that exam. Now, for solutions architect or anything like developer or anything that's hands-on, they're going to have more strenuous objectives, more objectives that dive deep into the core competencies of that cloud framework. So understanding what certification you're going to take and then understanding the objectives. Make sure you clearly read the objectives so you know what to focus on. One thing I'm going to kick into this little pot right here is don't try to do 100 things at one time. If you're focusing on this certification, don't try to do Python or Linux or Terraform with it. Just focus on the certification. Understand what it means to become a practitioner, understand what it means to become a solutions architect, understand what it means to become a developer, and understand that even though you pass these certifications, like a developer certification doesn't make you a developer. It just shows you the tools and services that that cloud service provider uses to develop within that infrastructure or within that entity. All right. So practitioner doesn't make you a practitioner. It just gives you the core competencies of understanding what a practitioner's role is like or what a practitioner should be able to do. There's still work that you need to do on your own to be able to get all the skills that's needed for those roles. So that's I want y'all to understand that right now. Having these certifications is just a foundation. It's not going to help you get a job, especially if you're new. So if somebody tell you focus on certifications and only that, they're telling you an absolute lie. This is just my opinion, right? They're telling you an absolute lie. I've been down that road. When I try to get into the cloud industry, cloud field, I got 3 AWS certifications: solutions architect, developer, and sysops. And guess what? When I got into the interviews, they was talking crazy stuff about other third-party tools that I knew absolutely nothing about. So researching the right exam, the right certification that you want, that's going to meet the goals of the role that you want to go into, and then understanding the objectives. All right. So point number 2, all right, set up a schedule and dive in. So this is super important for you all that's studying for the certification. A lot of you are not setting up a daily schedule to immerse yourself in this cloud culture to gain the information you need to even pass a basic exam. Some of you think that the weekend study is just fine. Well, that's fine, right? I mean, if you set a timeline for 6 months or something to get your exam done, that's totally fine. But that's not enough investment of your time to be able to move into a role and learn what you need to learn to be able to land a great paying role in cloud, right? That's only enough to just keep you doing something for the weekend. It's almost like reading a book. You know how you read your favorite book on the weekend, or you look at your favorite Netflix show. You can retain some of the stuff, but it's not going to work for you. So setting up a schedule and diving into the content. So if you're learning, trying to pass an exam, I would say set up an hour a day. Hour a day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday. Give yourself a break, right? Don't burn out. Some of y'all trying to, I'm going in 8 hours a day. Or I'm going to do 6 hours a day. No one can retain that amount of information. You're just going to burn yourself out. And you may not even take the exam. And you may not even get to the point where you're scheduling it because you're burnt out, you're working, and you're trying to cram all this stuff. And meanwhile, you're doing that and you're still doing what I said in step number 1. You're trying to learn 100 different other things while you're trying to learn this because you feel that that's what you need to get in the door. It's just to cram your brain in 2 weeks and be able to pass the certification. All right. So set up the schedule. 1 hour a day minimum. I mean, now people are going to tell you, and I'll tell you, small steps is better than no steps. So if you don't have an hour to spend a day, spend 30 minutes, but make sure you're spending it every day and making sure you're diving into the content. You're clearing out distractions, right? I'm in this office. I have no distractions. As soon as I say that, somebody will knock on the door, Daddy. But, clearing out your distractions and focusing for that 30 minutes daily. Not, I'm going to do an hour on Saturday and Sunday, or I just do it on Sunday because that's the only free time I got. If you're serious about moving into this industry, and if you're serious about building a career, then you need to get serious about what it takes for you to build that career. I'm going to say it again. If you're serious about moving into this industry, and if you're serious about moving into a career in cloud, then you need to be serious about what it's going to take for you to move into that career. Because some of you are not there yet. Some of you see the goals, see the success that other people have spent hours, consistently a night doing, and you're not ready to put that work in. And it's okay. It's totally fine. But you need to be realistic with yourself if you're not ready to set up the schedule and dive in to pass the exam, right? Because that's what it's going to take for you to really pass it and understand what you're actually looking at in the exam and understand the scenario questions that you're going to be faced. Because some of y'all, I mean, listen, dumps are out there. Everybody takes dumps, it seems like nowadays. But can you really understand the content, right? Or you're just remembering the answer to get the certification. And even if you do pass and get the certification, that goes back to what I said. The certifications are foundational knowledge. It's not going to get you the job. So if you take in dumps to pass the certification, you're really doing yourself a disservice because you're not going to know jack shit from jack shit. I'm just keeping it real with you. Somebody got to say it. Somebody got to tell you. All right. Listen, if this is valuable for y'all, put the gems in the chat. I want to make sure I give y'all some gems. And we want step 2 right now. If you feel this is valuable, and I want to be super transparent with y'all. I want to let you know what it's going to take, because a lot of y'all get information, and maybe these people that give you the information are giving it to you. They're not trying to mislead you. They're giving it to you with a whole heart. But sometimes this information is wrong. And sometimes you need to take it for somebody who actually been through it, right? And not really, cheat themselves through it. Because people can fake it till they make it. But what happens is you get into a job and you don't know what the hell you're doing. And then all this time you worry about losing your job because you didn't do what you were supposed to do to get the job. Understand? Please don't be that person. All right. So working out a schedule, right? And it doesn't work without a schedule. All right. And understanding the objectives that will help you prep for the hands-on project. So when you dive in and you're looking at the objectives, look at the ones that, and even take some ones and be like, okay, this is interesting. Let me see if I can find some hands-on documentation from that cloud service provider that can help me do a project, right? That can help me go step by step to understand what I'm doing. All right. That takes me to point number 3. Once you decide and you look at these objectives and you find some documentation or you find projects online, whatever the case may be, and even if you're going through hands-on labs through someone's course, it's very important. You want to make sure you do everything in the console. Console is easy, but also make sure you do those in the command line if possible. All right. So if you build in a virtual private network in AWS, let's try to see if we can build it through the command line as well. That way we can get a glimpse of what it looks like under the hood too. We're good at clicking, click, play, click. I did it. That's great. Do it through the command line. Show me that. If I had water, I'll throw it on my face right now. You see, so I don't know. See, if you can't do it through the command line, then that's where you need to stop and say, okay, what do I need to do to be able to understand how to do it? That's going to give you insight on what really happens too. Console is great as well. But when you face with those scenario questions in the exam, it's best to look at it, okay, I did that before, and I know it didn't do that. And I know it didn't do that either. And I know it didn't do this. That leaves only one possible answer. And guess what? Most likely that's the right answer. All right. So in these exams, when you get hands-on prep with the projects, you're going to be faced with scenarios and you're going to be faced with questions that you may not even seen in the exam. But the point for the exam is to understand the best possible answer. You might have answers that are almost identical. This is another tip. You're going to have answers that's almost identical, but what's the best possible answer? All right. When you're looking and you're doing the process of elimination, because we all do this as well. We got 4 questions. We can eliminate 2 of them off the rip because we absolutely know that's not the answer. Now you got 2 answers left. Oh my God, what did I do? What is the best possible answer? And when you answer it, Do not go back and change your answer unless you're 1,000% sure that you answered it incorrectly. If you're 75% sure, if you 85% sure, if you 95% sure, do not go back and change that answer. Because what's going to happen, I'm shaking my finger, what's going to happen, buddy, is you're going to hit click and it's going to say fail a couple days later. And it's going to say, oh, man, you're supposed to got a 700 score. You got a 680, 690. Damn, it was those two questions. I know it. And some of you don't even realize it's the questions that you go back and change. Some of you say, oh, I'm not good enough. See, I failed. I'm not good enough. And you got to understand there's so many variables to pass in this exam. All right. So a question that, normally we get is, how can you prepare? I'm going to tell you how to prepare. I gave you 3 steps, but I'm going to tell you how to really prepare. Get a good night's sleep. Remove the stressors the day before. It's so many variables that's going to get in between somebody passing and failing. Somebody can wake up just having a bad day, bad morning, kids going off, they just having a bad morning. 2-year-old child flipping out in the middle of the floor because they couldn't get juice for school. They upset now. They taking the kid to school. Now they got to go straight to the exam, home, take the exam, or straight to the practice center and take the exam, and they fail because they're not focused. Somebody waking up tired, been studying, they practice exams since 6 o'clock this morning, and now they want to go to sleep, and they got the exam at 10. It ain't happening. But also, you need to understand this too. Pass or fail. If you've done what I told you to do as far as getting the practical hands-on skills, the practical hands-on projects, and you gotten done some things through the console and you've done it through the command line, and you're like, I know this. Even if you fail, you got to understand it's so many variables that's in between someone passing as well. Someone can get 5 questions at the end of their exam that they absolutely never seen in their life and answer them and get lucky and pass. That's just the game. And you looking at that person holding up their solutions architect associate exams badge, and now you judging yourself because I knew I ain't good enough, not knowing that person got lucky and answered 5 questions at the end of the exam where those questions could have failed them. So do not compare yourself to anybody else's journey. Run your race. Your muscles are different, right? Somebody might be able to lift more weight than you. It's not about the amount of weight that you can lift. It's about the consistency and endurance. All right. So think about this. Think about, exerting yourself for a fight. Exert yourself now. Frustrate yourself now. Bang your head against the table now to understand how to solve problems, right? Bang yourself in the head now to understand how to pass this certification, right? Think, okay, is there any other way I can solve this problem, right? And start looking at other ways you can solve it. Because if you don't frustrate yourself now, if you don't exert yourself now, when you get into the exam, or even better yet, when you get into a role, you're going to be shell shocked. So exert yourself now. So when it comes to the fight, you can box. That's what it is. Endurance, not explosively lifting the muscle. That's somebody can dump themselves all the way to 5 to 11, 13 certifications. I got all 13. Oh my God, look at them. The certification king. Whole time they're using dumps. Don't even know nothing. Right? They could tell you a little bit, but when it comes to hands-on, I'm no hands-on person now. I mean, I'm here for strategic reasons. I'm here to strategize and mentor. Listen, I'm giving it to you real. Some of y'all right now that's looking at tech, looking at cloud, trying to figure out if you're smart enough to do it, are going to do it. They're going to put yourself through the challenges of solving problems and getting hands-on and learning those third-party tools and passing those certifications. I'm preaching now. And only to get into the job And somebody that's going to be there for 5, 6 years don't know nothing about what you know. And you're going to be like, this absolute baffles me. Or you're going to get into an organization where you learn best practices, you learn the AWS way to do it. And you're going to see some things, you're going to be like, ain't no way they doing that up in here. I thought they know better than this. And the whole time, if you look back after you complete your journey of making it into the industry, you're going to look back and you're going to laugh and say, man, I was really scared to get into this, to do this, because I thought I wasn't smart enough. Run your race. I'm telling you this, right? If I listen to what everybody told me, and if I listen to, if I looked at where I came from, and if I looked at what I was exposed to, this wasn't supposed to happen for me. Being a tech leader, this wasn't in the cards. Look at where I came from, rural Virginia. The only exposure to tech we had was keyboarding class. And at that time, it was about how fast you could type, not about solving problems, right? So I wanted to say that to motivate y'all, right? To really understand. Research the right exam that's for you and understand the objectives. And then you create a schedule, immerse yourself in this, and use the objectives to figure out how you can get hands-on with them, right? Some objectives will already come with some documentation on how to do certain things. But make sure you start thinking, how else can I solve this problem? Not only how else can I solve this problem, you do it in the console, then you do it in a command line. All right. That's the 3 steps you need. Get a good night's sleep, de-stress yourself the day before, and understand, win or lose, it don't matter. If you don't quit, you will always get your return on investment. It's not a loss. It's not a defeat. It's a valuable lesson learned. So it evens it up for me. Learn. Failure is about learning. If you failed the exam, take it again. Now you went up against, now you fought Mike Tyson. Now you know how hard Mike hit, right? Now you Tyson Fury. You know how Deontay Wilder hit now. Go back, strategize a new game plan, get in there, and knock his ass out. All right, so that's my time for today, y'all. I hope y'all really gain some value from, how to crush your next certification, how to crush your next cloud exam. And I love y'all. Hey, but your boy tired. I'm going to go spend some time with the fam, and I'll probably be sleeping the next 30 minutes. You know how it go, dad life. But let's continue to keep leveling up in tech, y'all. I'm going to see y'all in the next live. Love y'all once again. I'm out. Holla.